Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired and informed. And today we've got a very fascinating and important topic to discuss. Our video, by the way, today is sponsored by Identity Defense, which is a company that offers powerful and comprehensive identity theft protection services. And my guest is Stephanie Ruggieri. Stephanie has been with the company for 15 years, and she is the head of identity and insurance for Identity Defense. And she is interested in helping people like you and I to make sense of the hacks and the scams and the credit card theft that's out there. And I'm very happy to have you with us today, Stephanie. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us. I'm excited to talk a little bit about identity theft and how we can protect and educate ourselves.
Well, it's a big topic, and we've actually decided, Stephanie and I, that we're going to do this in 4 different videos because it's way too complicated, and I think it's better to do it in sort of chunks that everyone can absorb and understand. So we did a video on romance scams and shopping scams, and this video is going to be on how people steal your credit card information using technology. And I will say, Stephanie, that when I did my survey of the 60 and Me community, this was the #1 thing that people talked about. The fact that when they go to the gas station, sometimes they use their credit card and then find that other charges have been made. Right. And I know you're going to tell us all about Skimmer. So maybe we start there with just the topic of credit card theft and why they do it and where they are out there and how to protect ourselves.
Absolutely. So you're right. There is more than one way that hackers can use technology to steal your personal information or your account information. And you touched on a few of them, and we've talked about them in some of our previous sessions, like phishing or romance scams. But you're right. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about skimming. Skimming is a little bit different. So skimming is when a nefarious individual puts it's an electronic device that you can affix over an ATM machine, a gas pump, or even a parking meter. And it looks exactly like the typical device that you would slide your card in, except for that as you slide your card into this device that's affixed to the mouth of the payment device. It looks exactly like a standard payment device, but it's equipped with readers, and it's reading that magnetic strip on the back of your card, so that when you're putting it in, it's reading the magnetic strip and it's capturing your card number, your name, your expiration date, that can then be used to either create synthetic identities or to access account information.
So do banks, though, not have cameras where they can see people doing this kind of thing? Or do they sneak in at night and put these things into the ATM machines?
Oftentimes they look like they're using the machine and they're actually placing it over top of the machine. And some of the ways that you can tell whether there's a skimmer on top of a machine is look for things like, normally there's like a little green light at the top where, it's okay for you to transact. If that light is not there or it's muffled, there might be something on top of it. If it looks unordinarily large, it could be that the skimmer has been placed on top of the entire device, and you just can't tell what it is. I look for things like the size of the device that I'm putting my card into, and then if any lights look grayed out or dulled out, or I would normally see a light that I don't see a light anymore.
So when you put your card in, then the skimmer is taking information from the front and the back of your card.
Not
taking your PIN number, though, is it? So you
can take your PIN number. It can. It depends on the type. There's different types of skimmers. It can take your PIN. Some are just reading the magnetic strip on the back, and some are actually reading that magnetic strip and then coupling that with the PIN number that you put in, so that they can access your banking information.
So be careful when you're always cover your hands when you're putting your PIN number. That's another really important tip. Okay, so this is probably going to be mostly a credit card that you're using to pay for something, not a debit card. So
it could be either. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do they do then with the information? How can they
typically do 2 things? They either sell it or they use it. So if they use it, they're using it obviously to make purchase on the internet or like card not present transactions, or they're using this stolen personal data to set up accounts or take out loans in your name, and that's identity fraud. If they have your PIN number, then they're obviously going to use it to go to an ATM and take out money. But the other way that they can use it, and which is even probably more damning, is by selling it. So what they can do is they can sell your information on to other criminals or to network of criminals, and then they can use that information to make counterfeit cards or to use your personal information to open new cards.
So I know we're going to talk about this in another session because it comes up in other areas, but the dark web is where they're selling this information. Can you just maybe tell us what that is?
Sure. So the dark web is, when we think about the dark web, we think about, it's underground or hidden or bad.
Mhm.
There's a reason for that. It's usually a portion of the web. It's a portion of the web that houses hidden sites. And these hidden sites change. They're not always constant. So you have to kind of be, I guess, in the criminal circle to be able to know like what the new hidden sites are. And you only can access these sites with special tools or special authorization. So it allows criminals to interact and to exchange and sell data or account information or even credit cards or passports or guns or whatever it is that they're trafficking in an encrypted way using encrypted software so that they can remain anonymous and hide their locations, allowing them to conduct all kinds of illegal activity, including selling your personal information or the cards that they've stolen from you.
So this is an obvious question. I mean, why is monitoring your credit card then important? Tell us a bit about what identity defense, does with that to offer some protection there.
Sure. So monitoring, you're right. Monitoring your credit card statements is actually very important, and it allows you to see unauthorized transactions, but it's also a little bit downstream. So it also typically, if you get a credit card statement, the purchase has already been made or the activity has already occurred, and you're monitoring your credit card usually like once a month. So it's only one of the ways that you can get, you can be informed. That's why with identity defense, we really focus on monitoring and alerts. So as part of the identity defense service, we, with the permission of our members, monitor important accounts or cards or all kinds of different things, passports that they think are important to them, and they give us permission to monitor, and we look for suspicious activity and then alert them using near real-time alerts so that they know when something has occurred and can decide, yes, that's me, or no, that's not me, and I need to enlist the help of our specialists to figure out what's going on. You can receive alerts by accessing, you can get an email that says, hey, go to your account and check, we see something that's suspicious, or we can even alert you on your phone so you can take immediate action.
So when you say immediate, I mean, like say that I know you go into a shop at noon. I mean, how long would it take for that information to get to them using your monitoring tool?
Typically minutes.
Minutes.
Yeah.
This is what's really important, I think, is that you act really, really fast to get on there and block a card or do something. Do you help with that kind of thing as well? I don't know. Blocking a card, so you send them, is that an option? Your website is great actually, and it does go into all this information if people are interested. By the way, we are going to have a special offer for 60andMe, which will appear in the link will appear in the bottom under this video, because there's several different options that you can take advantage of if you want to. But yeah, I just think this credit card one is really important. Is there anything else that people need to be aware of?
Sure. Another thing I would bring up is, and we actually have a feature that helps address this too, is something we call authentication fraud. So people can take usually if you're opening an account or if you're accessing an account, the company that you're exchanging with, you're interacting with will verify that transaction. So they make sure that you actually really are the account holder or are who you say you are by answering questions about yourself that only that person would know, things about your personal record or your personal account information. We call that an authentication process. And we have a feature in our identity defense product called an authentication alert, so that if anyone is using your personal information to try to open a new account or to access one of your existing accounts, and that authentication process is triggered, we automatically alert you and say, hey, someone's trying to authenticate as yourself. Is that you? So that you can say, yes, it's me, or no, it's not me. And that helps. That I think is a really important benefit because it helps prevent right at the source when someone's trying to take that stolen information and use it the very first time to create something that is not authentic.
So Stephanie, how frequent does this happen? I mean, what's the statistic on this thing? I mean, people, fortunately you've never been affected by it, just know that there are so many people who have. What kind of numbers are we talking about here?
We've seen a 50% increase in not authentication alerts specifically, but in scamming that's happened since 2019. And a lot of that is just because everything is online. We've all pivoted to a completely online presence, and we do everything from behind a screen. And that's resulted in a rise in there's various types of identity theft and various types of fraud that are occurring, and we've seen it tremendously increase since 2019.
So we talked about monitoring and doing that kind of authentication check. Are there any other elements to the identity defense services that would give additional? I mean, do you do any kind of advice giving? I mean, for example, something happened to a friend of mine, which was very powerful, which is they had their card stolen, but didn't know that they had an automatic day limit for withdrawals that was very high. And they didn't know that they had that withdrawal limit so high, and that it could be a lot. I mean, just in terms of banks, they just don't give you a lot of information, it sounded like. So just you're like a double check for the bank.
Sure, a couple things. We have a couple ways that we kind of consult and provide advice. The first is, and within the whole website, and especially within the member area, when you have an account and you have your own personal member dashboard, there's a few things. I'm going to call out 3 of them. The one is we typically have a whole tips and advice section where we keep you up to date on scams that are going on and things that you need to look out for. We also typically do a risk assessment, so we'll help you walk you through a series of questions to help us figure out how risky are your behaviors, and do you have like the right privacy settings, or how can we help advise you on how to protect yourself the best? And then the third line of defense, I would say, are our outstanding identity theft specialists. So we have a team of identity theft specialists that are specially trained and FCRA certified, so that if you actually do have an identity theft incident, or even just a question, they're there all the time to help you, navigate whatever it is you're trying to do online.
This is so helpful, Stephanie. I think that the word defense, we've said it so many times, it's your company name, it's the action that we have to take. And I think that for you women that are watching this video, I'm sure that like me, you do feel helpless sometimes and really overwhelmed by the amount of people and systems that are trying to take advantage of us. And I think to protect ourselves and be on the defense is really, really important. So, Stephanie, have I missed anything with regards to credit card theft and technology?
I think we've covered it.
Yeah. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free. Stephanie and I will be looking at the comments after the video is released and answering your questions. And as I mentioned, there'll be a special page for 60andMe. The link will be down below this video. And Stephanie, thank you so much. I've really learned a lot, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the time. I've loved talking about this stuff.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.